is a good time to get into the Black Wall Street report with my Black Wall Street journalist. She is an investor and forensic accountant and the president and founder of Kids Who Bank, a really amazing organization that's in 137 schools nationwide, teaching young people about financial literacy. This woman, she's amazing. She uses her 13 years of experience in the finance worlds, the UK and the US, to teach people and help people recoup and make millions. Please give your attention to the Black Wall Street journalist, Jatali B. What's going on, lady? Welcome back to Real Black News.
Let me tell you something. I always feel so special hearing my mini bio on the radio. It's like you forget how much you do sometimes until you hear it said, and you're like, you know what? I've been busy,
You've
but
been busy.
hey,
You've been
how are
busy.
you?
Well, it's end of year. This is always a busy
Mhm.
time for financial experts preparing for the new year, but also people giving money and philanthropy at the end of the year. But we're looking at these markets and things are a little funny style. I know you wanted to give some tips today for 2019.
Yeah, so for 2019, I really want investors to start looking at emerging markets. For those who are wondering what is an emerging market or how to know what is a good emerging market to invest in, it's a market that is growing slash developing quickly.
Okay.
So great to invest in, especially if their markets fluctuate with less correlation to the American market. So basically saying like if the American market crashes, it doesn't necessarily mean that emerging market in another country would be crashed.
Okay.
So for example, I'm going to give you some of the countries that I suggest that people look at. South Africa is usually on my top of my list. In Brazil's
Brazil.
another, yes, Brazil is a sleeper,
Mm,
honestly. Japan, Portugal, and of course India. I
nice.
would say China, but because of the inconsistency and issues that are currently happening with the China trade lines and our current
President?
Trump,
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I want to use the
Mm-hmm.
word president, but
Uh-huh. His
with
words against
Trump, and
Trump, his words against China. That could affect things.
yeah,
Is that what you're saying?
that could affect things. So I wouldn't necessarily tell someone to invest their money in emerging markets in China right now. But if you do want to do an Asian market, I would look at some place like Japan.
Interesting.
So, to go into that, your options are to invest in ETFs, aka exchange traded funds that are owned in emerging markets, or in stocks for companies in the US that invest or do tons of business in emerging markets. So like let's say you're interested in an emerging market but you're afraid of investing your money overseas, you can invest your money in a company that has a lot of money overseas.
Mm.
So you're getting the benefit of that, but you're still staying here if you want to stay in the US. And then I would also look at companies that are listed on the American market. So even if you're going to invest in that company in an overseas market, if they're also listed here in the US as an option for you to purchase directly from here, one of the cool things that happens is that the purchasing of those markets have to be branded financial disclosures. So they basically have to have their Exchange and Securities Commission rules met. So it kind of gives you an understanding of the compliance
Hmm.
and where they are financially, which is a good security haven.
How can people read up more and find more information on these countries that they should invest in? And once they do, what are their next steps?
What I would suggest is, of course, markets like Forbes, for instance, is one of my favorite to read because when you read or fool.com, these are sites that give you a lot of information about other markets just to have a diversified portfolio. I think that one of the best ways to diversify your portfolio is by investing in other emerging markets, even if you stay within markets that are in the American market. What I mean by that is what I was saying earlier. You could invest in the US stock market, but a stock company that is emerging in another company.
Mm.
So to give you an example, Naspers Limited. It's a South African holding company. It owns about 34% of China's Tencent, which is one of the 15 most valuable companies in the world. So if you ask someone like BBC, I read it on Forbes, Naspers Limited is an amazing company to invest in,
Okay.
and it's overseas, but it's also here on the US stock market. So you could stay within the US and invest in it, but still be investing in something overseas.
Okay.
If you don't like that, you can look at a company like Alibaba. Alibaba, let's say, for instance, if you're not a fan of China, and you want to look for their competitor. Alibaba is one of the biggest rivals to China's market.
Interesting.
And Alibaba is on the US stock market as well. So you have the option of going directly investing overseas in Alibaba, or directly just keeping your money here in the stocks and in the States, but in Alibaba overseas. The benefit of doing that is that with companies like that, you also get the benefit of knowing that, hey, sometimes if it fluctuates here, maybe it's not fluctuating back where it's originally from, and you can get that benefit.
Okay.
And then, like, for Brazil, they have a company called Cosan Limited, the CZZ, which is in parentheses. And in 2016, it was below $3.
Okay.
But now this year, it's up to $10 a share. And they sell natural gas, lubricants, etc. So that's another company that I would tell people to look out for. And, these are just some options that keep you open and let you know basically some of your options. And then my favorite for Japan, just to share, would be, for instance, Tokyo Electron, which is a semiconductors company, or Sumitomo, which is an industrial company.
Okay.
And both of them have been really performing very well in the markets. So to me, I think that's a good option for people to invest in. And honestly, just literally Google emerging markets to invest in and read around. Sometimes we forget the power of Google, and it's just amazing what stocks you can come across, like Sumitomo and Tokyo Electron. In January, I read a Forbes article about them. And since I've had them since January, I've been truly pleased with their performances. So it's just something to keep in mind. And sometimes it's good to have a little extra cash to the side to invest in emerging markets.
Nice, nice. That's the Black Wall Street journalist, Jatali B, with the Black Wall Street Report. Where can people find more information and follow you?
You can find me on kidswhobank.com, or on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all Kids Who Bank. And you can email me, info@kidswhobank.com.
Cool. Thanks, Jatali. Always teaching me something.
Alrighty.
Appreciate that.
Awesome. And I hope you invest in some of those stocks that I just mentioned.
I will
Those
be
are
investing.
some good ones
I will be
definitely
investing
look at.
when I get some more money. Thank you. I will do that.
Listen,
thank you.
You can have $30 and go invest, young lady.
It's true.
Especially like the one that Sumitomo was telling you about. Sumitomo is at $10 right now. Even if you get like 3 shares,
True.
it goes up to like $20. And you made that money.
Facts. See that? See that? Okay.
See?
I will be taking that into my next week. Thank you. Today's payday. Thank you.
All
anyway,
right.
Thanks, Jatali.